Tyler Reddick crossed the finish line first at the Daytona 500, and he still had no idea if he had won. No smile, no celebration, no fist in the air, just a man sitting in his car trying to figure out if the biggest moment of his life was actually real. When the checkered flag dropped, Reddick said exactly what was going through his head. I didn't know if I'd won the race or not. I knew I crossed the start-finish line first, but I don't know if the yellow light was on before I got to the start-finish line and Chase Elliott was ahead of me. He had to hold himself back from celebrating too soon. I didn't want to think I'd won the race and then be told a couple seconds later I hadn't. That would be devastating, especially after running second last year. This is the Daytona 500, the most famous race in all of NASCAR. And the man who crossed the line first couldn't even enjoy it because everything about that final lap felt so uncertain. For Reddick, this race was not just another trophy. It meant everything. He grew up in California watching this race every single year as a little boy. He once said, "I watched a lot of NASCAR racing growing up, but I would never miss a Daytona 500 as a little kid growing up out in California, sitting with my family on Sunday watching this race. I dreamed of one day just having an opportunity to run in this race." The first time he actually drove at Daytona, he was in a lower-level ARCA car. He said it felt surreal. "I've watched so many races here as a kid growing up, and I'm finally on the racetrack. I've always dreamed of being able to drive off of Turn 4 through the trioval and see the stands." He never expected to one day be talking to reporters about winning the whole thing. Never would I know it would lead to me talking to you guys about winning a Daytona 500. But there was something even more personal going on behind the scenes. The 2025 season was really hard on Reddick and his team. No wins, lots of pressure. He drives for Michael Jordan's team, and he was honest about what that feels like. He explained it this way. "When you're a Cup driver and you get to this level and drive for Michael Jordan, it's expected you win every single year. For us to go on that drought we did made us look hard in the mirror." And on top of all that, his newborn son had been dealing with health problems. Reddick said the only other time he felt this emotional was when he won a pole at Charlotte while his son was in the hospital. Before this race, his little boy asked him a simple question. Reddick shared it after the win. "My son asked before this race, 'Are you finally going to win this race?' Something about today just felt right." Reddick gave credit to everyone around him, his parents, his grandparents, his whole family. "My parents, my grandfather, my grandparents, and it just took everyone's teamwork like we had today to make moments like this reality." Now let's talk about what actually happened on that last lap, because it was unlike anything you'd expect from the biggest race of the year. Carson Hocevar was leading when the white flag came out. 1 lap to go. His car was right there. Then, just like that, he was turned into the wall. No caution was thrown. Chase Elliott jumped to the front. He was leading the Daytona 500 coming off Turn 4. The checkered flag was right there. And then he got wrecked too. Riley Herbst made a blocking move. Brad Keselowski had a huge run going. Cars hit each other across the finish line. Joey Logano crossed the line going backwards. Ricky Stenhouse scraped the wall. Keselowski came home 5th with serious damage to the front of his car. And Reddick? He slipped right through the smoke and took the win. After it all settled, Hocevar said what everyone was thinking. "It's unfortunate that a car in my mirror at the white flag won the race. I felt there was good execution, but it's just the last lap at Daytona." Zane Smith, who also had a real shot at winning, was frustrated too. "Honestly, it's frustrating right now to have a shot at winning the Daytona 500 and it just not quite happening. My run on Elliott just wasn't big enough to win, and I just tried to do all I could, but the help wasn't there." That last part, "the help wasn't there," says a lot about how Daytona works now. You cannot win alone. You need a teammate, a push, someone willing to work with you. And sometimes, someone making a risky move is the difference between everything and nothing. Riley Herbst was that someone. Reddick was clear about it after the race. "I don't win that race without Riley Herbst. That's a fact. He pushed me to Smith. I got to Smith. Now Elliott is in front of me and I make my move." Reddick even went to Herbst personally after the race and told him, "I'm sorry it didn't work out for you in the way that you wanted it to, but he did, in my opinion, everything right on that last lap." Brad Keselowski sees it very differently. He was furious. His car was wiped out by Herbst's block, and he did not hold back. He said, The 35 just wrecked me out of nowhere for no reason. That was one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. He had no chance of blocking my run. I had a huge run. I don't know if I could have gotten Reddick or Stenhouse, but I would have liked to found out because my run was coming fast, and the 35 just wiped us and himself. Pretty stupid. He kept going. I thought a one-lane block kind of makes sense, but to block from the very bottom all the way to the top and wreck yourself and everybody else is just stupid. Very, very stupid. And Chase Elliott? He was just in disbelief. It's disappointing. I don't know what to tell you. We were leading the Daytona 500 off turn 4, coming to the checkered flag and didn't win. So you tell me. He even admitted, maybe I should have just turned left the first time. Here's the thing. What happened on that final lap was not just bad luck. It did not come out of nowhere. All race long, drivers were not really racing. They were saving fuel, lifting off the gas in the corners, riding in tight packs because the car does not let them do much else. The next-gen car, the car NASCAR brought in a few years ago, has made all the teams almost exactly equal at big tracks like Daytona. Same power, same drag, same speed. When everyone is the same, nobody can pass. When nobody can pass, they wait. They wait for pit strategy. They wait for someone to make a mistake. They wait for chaos. That is not what the Daytona 500 used to feel like. Even Denny Hamlin, the co-owner of the team that just won, said something needs to change. He was very direct about it. Hamlin said, "There's a way, but we're going to have to increase the speeds by a lot. You're going to have to make it to where handling matters. That's going to spread out the field. It'll look a little more like racing from the past, but right now we're so planted in the racetrack that we can just run in this really tight pack." He broke it down even simpler, taking away spoiler and slowing us down in the corners. More lift. We need more lifting. More lifting means drivers have to actually fight to keep control of the car. That creates mistakes. Mistakes create real racing. Right now, there are no mistakes until the very last lap and then everything explodes at once. Hamlin also suggested an idea. He wants to bring the Clash a smaller preseason race back to Daytona next year and test a completely different car setup. He said, "One of the suggestions that we talked about just a few days ago is come here next year in the Clash. Let a few of us come up with a package that you won't see any fuel saving. You're just going to see people hanging on. That would be the only fix." When the biggest race of the year ends with drivers openly calling each other's moves very, very stupid, when the winner does not know if he has won, when a man who led at the white flag finishes 19th, that is not just a wild Daytona finish. That is a sport that has a real problem, and the people inside it are starting to say so out loud. Reddick's win is real. His story is real. But the race that brought him that trophy also showed everyone watching that something is broken. The question now is whether NASCAR will fix it before the storm gets worse.